Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're kind of peeling back the layers on a really complex emotional story, right out of Nashville and Hollywood. It centers on country music legend Keith Urban.
Yeah, we've got a whole stack of material interviews, articles, some pretty deep background notes looking at his marriage to Nicole Kidman, which is, iconic in itself.
And then there's this intense, almost mythic creative bond he formed with Kelsea Ballerini.
Exactly. So our mission today is really to get past the surface, try and understand the truth that seems to be hiding just beneath the melodies and, let's face it, the rumors that swirled for years.
We're trying to figure out how these two artists, quite different in age and where they were in their careers, found this common ground, this shared language, rooted in their own struggles.
Mm-hmm.
When you think Keith Urban, I mean, the image is pretty clear. The man who can make a guitar cry, he's that gentle poet of country music. His whole thing was love is forgiveness, not some perfect fairy tale.
Right. Hard-won forgiveness. But for ages, people wondered what was really going on behind that image, especially when he shared the stage with Kelsea Ballerini.
Ah, yes, that duet performance. I remember seeing clips of that.
It really crystallized everything, didn't it? She was, the rising star, the princess of country pop, much younger, but the energy between them, it was, well, electric is the word the sources keep using, a kind of dissonance.
And the cameras caught that look. That's what set everything off, wasn't it?
Totally. The sources are unanimous on this. The moment that look happened, it was like pouring gasoline on the rumor fire.
Because it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like a mentor looking at a protege, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't patronizing. It was described more like memory or recognition.
Exactly. Like he saw something deeply familiar in her, something he recognized from his own experience, perhaps.
So, okay, that's our starting point then. The big question from all this source material seems to be, was this connection purely artistic? Or was it the quiet, maybe even unconscious start of something?
Yeah.
Well, something real.
And in Nashville, as you know, music itself, the stage, the studio, that's often where the real truth hides in plain sight.
So to understand why he might, risk so much, potentially jeopardize this very public promise he'd made, we have to go back. Way back.
Yeah, the man singing about this eternal, forgiving love, his own foundation was quite painful, actually.
It's kind of striking how different his beginnings were from the polished star we see now. Keith Lionel Urban, born 1967, New Zealand.
But grew up mostly in Queensland, Australia, constantly moving. His dad, Robert, a truck driver, described as strict, tired. His mother, Marianne, had music, yes, but also this sort of quiet sorrow about her.
So he learned really young that stability wasn't guaranteed. Love could just disappear. Money problems, broken promises, that kind of thing.
And his escape, his absolute sanctuary was this pawnshop guitar his mom got him.
Wow. Just a kid, mocked at school apparently, finds this profound truth in country music that he wasn't getting anywhere else.
Yeah, and by 10, he's playing local fairs. That applause he got, the sources suggest it wasn't about ambition kicking in early. It was more like survival, filling this void he couldn't even name yet.
But that pressure from his dad, play cleaner, sing louder, that must have been intense.
Oh, absolutely. It created this relentless drive to prove himself. And look, it paid off professionally, right?
Right.
Grammys. But the sources are clear it cost him his internal peace. You can almost hear it in his early work, that tension.
And that pressure cooker environment, it sort of feeds into the other struggles too, doesn't it? The drinking started young.
Yeah, adolescence. And again, the sources frame it not as teenage fun, but as permission to stop feeling. It's a harsh framing, but it suggests his musical talent and his drinking kind of grew up together.
Like twins born of pain, I think one source put it.
That's the one. It's powerful imagery. And his whole drive to get to Nashville wasn't initially about topping charts. It was escape. Escaping that childhood, that feeling of not being enough.
We found this mantra he supposedly had. Someday I'll play for people who listen.
Right. It wasn't ambition in the usual sense. It was survival. Music was the only way he could speak his truth.
Okay, so fast forward. He makes it to Nashville. Capitol Records signs him in '99. He becomes this new prince of country music. Success hits hard and fast.
But did that success fix things, or did it just amplify the old issues?
Well, the material suggests it was more like an enabler, at least initially. Fame became just another addiction with a prettier bottle.
Yeah, it gave him that external validation he'd always craved, maybe, the adoration, but it took away the quiet he actually needed.
That paradox is just devastating. The bigger the crowd, the lonelier he felt inside.
And this is all happening while he's part of one of the world's most famous couples, Keith and Nicole Kidman. Hollywood royalty meets Nashville's poet. The absolute picture of romance and resilience.
But even that perfect picture started to show cracks into the strain, right?
Well, yeah. Two massive careers, kids growing up between continents, Nicole's demanding film schedules. Love gets stretched thin, doesn't it?
He'd finish these huge tours, apparently, come down from that adrenaline high, and just return to an empty house a lot of the time.
And that's the danger zone. That's where the temptation for numbness, for alcohol, starts whispering again. He'd been sober for years, but addiction, as one source puts it, waits like an old friend at the edge of every dark thought.
Always there, ready to fill that silence.
Meanwhile, Nicole, publicly at least, maintained this incredible grace, but internally, the sources hint at immense pain. There's talk of her smile looking colder, remersed after a while.
And that quote, supposedly to a friend, "You don't lose a man all at once."
You lose him note by note.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. It speaks to this slow, almost musical unraveling of what looked like a perfect dream.
So he's searching for meaning in the quiet, for something to fill that void, that emptiness, and that vulnerability. It's like an open door.
And right then, Kelsea Ballerini walks through it, metaphorically speaking, of course.
What's incredible is the timing. She wasn't just some random newcomer. She idolized him growing up, knew his lyrics inside out.
And crucially, when they properly connected as mentors on The Voice, she was going through her own major emotional upheaval. Her marriage to Morgan Evans was falling apart. Her music was getting darker.
So it's like a perfect storm of mutual despair.
You could say that. They met right at this intersection of pain. It started professionally, sure. Apparently she called him Mr. Urban at first. Very formal.
Right.
But that guidance, that mentorship, it shifted. The silences between them started to feel different, described as electric, like a song waiting to be written.
Okay, but how deep did it go? The sources seem careful to distinguish the nature of this bond.
They do. They emphasize it wasn't reckless, not just some fling. It was more reverent, that's the word used. Like two people broken in their own specific ways, saw a reflection of their own wounds in each other.
But couldn't that connection itself become, well, addictive?
That's exactly what some sources suggest, especially for Keith. Maybe trading one dependency, alcohol, fame for another, this intense feeling of connection, of being truly seen by someone who maybe needed him just as much as he needed, well, redemption.
But hang on, isn't that potentially just really good PR spin? Two artists, creative connection, shared low point, they write some sad songs. Does the evidence really point to something deeper than just a professional sanctuary?
Well, this is where the lyrics come in. It's hard to dismiss them outright. It feels less like collaboration and more like a dialogue.
Like that unreleased song, Whispers in the Rain.
Exactly. The lyric apparently went, "She came like thunder wrapped in quiet." That's pretty specific imagery for just friends making music, wouldn't you say?
It's intimate, yeah. And then there was that Leaks demo, What the Night Forgot. That one seemed even more direct.
Oh, completely, the reported lyric. "She was a storm that whispered instead of screamed, and I let her in because silence had become too cruel." That line about silence.
It echoes everything he was feeling about the loneliness, the empty house.
Precisely. So when does art become so honest? It's basically a confession. They denied everything, of course, stuck to the just friends script.
But the hesitation, maybe?
That's what the sources suggest. The hesitation and the denial, that's where the truth often hides. They were protecting themselves, protecting others, maybe. But the music itself, it was practically screaming.
So they take all this volatile, intimate energy, and they pour it into a song, The Quiet Kind of Love, written in secret studios.
A song they knew apparently could never be officially released, at least not then.
Why not?
It was just too raw, too honest. The analysis suggests it was hauntingly intimate, too real to be passed off as simple fiction. Releasing it would have just blown up the whole public narrative they were both trying to maintain.
So he shelved it, consciously decided the truth was too dangerous.
Seems so. But the confession did come out, didn't it? Just disguise. On his album, Burning in Silence.
Right. The lyrics felt like this coded farewell. If I never said your name aloud, it's because I never stopped whispering it here. Chills.
Yeah. And when journalists pressed him, who's the muse? Who inspired this incredibly raw stuff? He gave that very careful answer.
He paused, apparently, and then said his muse wasn't a person.
But what that person awakens in you, masterful deflection, but also maybe the deepest truth of it all. He didn't need to name her. The awakening was the point.
Wow. So the actual resolution, the public one anyway, comes years later.
Yeah, much later. A benefit concert in Nashville. Keith's now 57, Kelsey's in her early 30s. Things have settled. He invites her up on stage.
And they sing it. They actually sing the quiet kind of love.
Can you imagine the weight of that moment? Singing the secret history, the song deemed too dangerous years before, right there in front of thousands. The emotional threat had passed, maybe.
And the ending. The descriptions are incredible.
No big hug, no speeches. The final note fades. They just look at each other. This long, silent moment. Acknowledgement. Then a small smile, and they walk off, opposite sides of the stage.
The crowd didn't even applaud right away. It was more like reverence.
Exactly. And that final act, it kind of sums up the core insight from all this digging, doesn't it? This probably wasn't about betrayal in the simple sense. It was more like,
Two artists caught in the same storm.
yeah, recognizing their own pain echoed in the other person. It was, like Heath said, music becoming the language for all those unfinished feelings.
And Kelsey herself, looking back years later, she framed it as healing, didn't she?
She did. She said something like, "He taught me that broken doesn't mean done. Sometimes you meet someone who shows you the parts of yourself you forgot were still beautiful."
So the connection, this hidden melody, it ultimately helped them both. Helped them survive that strange silence of being famous but feeling utterly alone.
Yeah, it seems to be the most profound takeaway from the sources, yeah.
Which brings us back to you listening, and maybe that question of emotional accountability, or maybe just emotional truth. Keith Urban said his muse wasn't a person, but what that person awakens in you. So the question we leave you with is this: what do you do with a connection that maybe heals your deepest pain, but also threatens your biggest promise, your public life? When does a hidden memory, a private truth, become more defining than the story everyone else knows?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Thanks for diving deep with us today.